Eric Mangini, former head coach for the Jets, as well as an assistant with the Browns, on FS1's First Things First on if the Browns can turn things around and get into the AFC playoffs.
When Kansas City was struggling, I bought Kansas City stock, and I would buy Brown stock, and it's not based off of Baker. It's based more off the fact that Kareem Hunt's back and that Nick Chubb is back, and they faced a tremendous amount of injuries over the course of the season, and everybody has, but we're putting Baker into a context where we're not taking into account all the other things that were happening surrounding him, the problems with the offensive line in terms of injuries, losing two explosive, game-changing backs for long stretches of time. Now those guys are back. They've all got an extra week to get healthy, and expectations have changed, and people are going to treat them differently, which is going to help them over the stretch. And I do feel that they can make a run. And as much as Baker is being crushed, he is good enough to win, and he's especially good enough to win when they have the supporting cast in place, which they're getting back to.
Again, Eric Mangini from FS1, First Things First. Let's welcome in John Fanta. John, I agree to a certain extent with what Eric has said. Is this Browns team, can they be a playoff team?
They can be a playoff team, but they haven't played like it to this point. And I think that Eric Mangini brings up the interesting point of having Kareem Hunt back and starting to get healthier. What he didn't bring up was the fact that Joe Woods' defense made a major statement against Lamar Jackson, who doesn't appear to be right here in recent games. Obviously, he missed that Bears game, but really struggled in Miami. He struggled against the Browns. But I think the bigger thing is, look, if you're going to be a playoff team, you've got to score points. And the Browns have failed to reach 14 points in 4 of their last 5 games. And that starts and ends with Baker Mayfield. So we can say that the Browns' success comes down to more than just the quarterback. And Eric Mangini's correct in that the Browns do have pieces. They have talent. They have Kareem Hunt back and the best running back duo in the league when both those guys are on the field and in rhythm. But you still have to have quarterback play. And this goes back to last year when the Browns were rolling and people were saying Baker benefits off of all these pieces. Yeah, but Baker Mayfield was really playing good football. You know, he still has to be able to make those throws, make things happen. The fact is he hasn't been making those throws, and he hasn't been making things happen after he had 3 drives in Baltimore in the fourth quarter in which he could have delivered a game-changing drive, and the Browns were unable to pull through. So there's a lot of blame that can be placed on many different parties. But we know what the most important position is on the field, and until 6 gets going, the Cleveland Browns are not going to be a playoff team.
Yeah, and I'll take it a step further for you. So in their last 7 games, in the fourth quarter, they have scored a total of 7 points. 7 points in the fourth quarter in their last 7 games. That's got to change, and it's got to change immediately if they're going to be a playoff team.
It has to change. And I think back, Dave, to the pivotal moment of this season, in my opinion, where the Cleveland Browns played as close to a complete game as it gets offensively against the Los Angeles Chargers and could not execute on offense down the stretch. When you had as much as they had going well in that game and then could not put the drive together, it said to me, man, this team just doesn't have it down the stretch in games, especially when they're tied or trailing or need to put that drive together. And that's the point in the season where when I look at this 6-6 record, I point to that game the most and say, man, they gave that game away in a couple of ways. But there have been other moments and times too. The Steelers game in Cleveland, the Browns had to win that game. They had a point-blank look at a drive, and Jarvis Landry fumbles, and they just could never put it together. So, look, this team has really struggled late in the game during a time where if it's a tight game, you're in less obvious running downs, and during a time when you're late in a game where a team has you solved. They've got 3.5 quarters on you, and the defense knows what your tendencies are and what you'd like to do. So to me, I think Kevin Stefanski's been trying to find different dimensions to this team. But when you don't have a solidified right tackle position and your running backs have been a bit of a musical chairs act, and the fact is, the biggest issue for this football team was evident on Sunday night. And Dave, I was in M&T Bank Stadium. The Browns don't have much going on the perimeter right now that strikes fear into an opposing secondary. And that's a problem that's not going to just suddenly go away because of a bye week.